We can stand, sir, we can stand here. Both panel is here. Take photo government here. Okay, to stand here. They will give us a session.
ये वाला लैपटॉप तो नहीं दे रखा।
We have sufficient chairs or we have to put on both? One sec. Take care on. Excuse me. Hello. Sir, okay. You have to sit. So we can start. Okay, 9:30. Should we start?
Yes, we should start. Yes.
I'll just introduce all of you and then we can start it. Okay? Okay, good morning, friends. And again, I would like to welcome you all to this important session, which is organized jointly by Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Department of Agriculture Research and Education, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, along with the Fraunhofer HHI Institute that is in Berlin, Germany. So all the panelists and moderators are on the dais. I'll just introduce. I am Dr. Anil Rai. I am looking after ICT in Indian Council of Agriculture Research. So all the ICT activities I look after. So that is my brief introduction. Then we have a moderator, Sebastian Bosch. He is the head of the Interactive Cognitive System group at the Fraunhofer, Berlin, Germany. His current research interest includes the modeling of perception, cognition, machine learning, computer vision, and human-machine interaction over a wide field of applications, ranging from multimedia, augmented reality, through medicine to agriculture and industrial production. So he's here, just behind me. So our next panelist is Atsuko Okada, and she is a regional director. And prior to this new assignment, she was the chief of the ICT and development section of the ICT and Disaster Risk Reduction Division of United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, that is CAPE, in Bangkok, Thailand, from 2015 to 2020. At this CAPE, she promoted the development of regional broadband connectivity and inclusive broadband through the implementation of Asia Pacific Information Superhighway Initiative. So she's here. Okay. Then next panelist is Professor Santanu Chaudhary. Santanu Chaudhary is a professor in Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Delhi. Earlier, he was a director, IIT Jodhpur, and director, CSIR, Central Electronic Research Institute. He has over 350 publications across different journals, national and international. He developed a lot of technologies. He has a 15 patent on his credit. And his area of interest are computer vision, artificial intelligence, digital heritage, AR, VR, and multisensory media. So Professor Chaudhary is there, that side. Okay, so next speaker is our Gopal Patra. Dr. Gopal Patra is currently director, CSIR, Fourth Paradigm Institute, Bangalore, India. His major domain of research has been data science, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cyber and information security, high performance computing, He has been actively involved in many national programs of AI and data analytics. So Dr. Patra is that side, he's sitting there. Then other speaker is Volker Klima. He's agricultural counselor at the German Embassy, New Delhi, India, a position he held since September 2025. He brings nearly 2 decades of experience in international agriculture policy, development cooperation, agri-food system across Africa, Asia, Latin America, Europe. So he has a vast experience in this area. And then next speaker is Dr. Ravi N. Sahu. He is a principal scientist, Division of Agriculture Physics, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Indian Agriculture Research Institute. And he has vast experience, around 25-year experience in the area of teaching, capacity building, geospatial science and its application. And his major research area is hyperspectral remote sensing, UAV remote sensing, big data analytics and precision farming. He is sitting in the middle. Then Dr. Raghu. Dr. Raghu has joined the Interactive Cognitive System Group at Fraunhofer, HHI, as a scientist in digital agriculture in May 2022. And he is the now chair ITU working group on digital agriculture, use cases and solutions. And he had a lot of experience in the standards and policies of AI. So I would like to welcome all of them on the dais. And as you know that we have some input we need from the audience also. After 30 minutes around discussion, we'll share a QR code where you can also give your opinions about this session. So thank you very much, and I will now hand over the system to the boss.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anil, for the kind introduction. So, as you can see, we have a high-profile panel here, and I'm very much looking forward to this session. So what we have in mind, what we want to do also with you here in the room, is to identify priority AI standards, gaps, policy levels for responsible deployment, and coordination mechanisms across international, national, and sectoral actors for scaling AI, farmer-centric agri-food systems. And we want to leave the session here with a tangible result in the form of a synthesis of the key takeaways. For this, we will follow a Davos-style discussion. So we have our distinguished panelists here, and each of them will give us a 5-minute impulse, reflections on their view of on agriculture. Then we will have a curated discussion among the panelists, and then we will open the floor to the audience as well. And as Dr. Raj just mentioned, then you're also invited to provide your input and your opinion using the system behind the QR code. So these are ambitions that we have that are pretty challenging for 55 minutes, so forgive me that I might appear very strict on maintaining the structure of the session and its timing. So, having said this, without further ado, I would like to ask you, Atsuko-san, from ITU, to give us your perception from the lens of global standards, international alignment. So where do you see the potential of standards for digital agriculture? Where do you see challenges? And what is the particular role of ITU in that regard?
Thank you, Sebastian, and good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to start thanking the organizers for inviting ITU to this very important session. And I would like to answer your question, start with the introduction on our organization, ITU. And I hear that, of course, many of you are already involved in the ITU's work, but I'm not sure if the audience is aware of who we are. So let me ask you, do you know who ITU, International Telecommunication, is? Please raise your hand. Thank you. You're my heroes. But let me explain for the other audience who may not be aware. ITU, the International Telecommunication Union, is the oldest UN agency. We just celebrated 160th anniversary last year. And we are the specialized agency for digital technology. So some of you may know that we have 3 distinctive areas of expertise. One is the radio communication. So we assign satellite orbit. And we do standardization that I will speak more. And we have development to connect the unconnected and promote sustainable digital transformation. Now, on this topic of digital agriculture and standards, we have a very robust and the standardization work. As you may have seen, ITU has over 200 AI-related standards which are already approved and 200 more in the pipeline. So we have about 500 or so in our book, so to speak. Now, what does it look like specifically in the area of agriculture? I think is the question that you want to ask. So we have a few study groups. They are the group of experts who go deep into the topic and questions and to come up with the standards which are the international best practices. And these are critical for the democratization of AI in digital agriculture, because not all countries are equipped to start from zero, right? So when you have standards, it's easier for countries to kickstart from where the standard ends. So the 200 plus standards, and some of them related to agriculture, to me is a critical building blocks to really start and build applications on top of that. So do you want me to give a few examples, or I should come back later on?
Please give some examples. I think that would help the audience and also me to really understand what ITU is doing there.
Thank you. So some of the work that we do with FAO in particular, we have a focus group on AI and IoT in digital agriculture. And that group is a global platform to share knowledge and to experiment the proof of concept so that the global best practices could be shared widely. We also have very specific areas of agriculture working on specifically on the standards, such as smart livestock farming based on IoT. These are some of the standards which are already approved, as well as smart farming based on network technologies. And I can also promote that there is a new study group 21, which is working on machine vision-based farm intelligence inspection mechanism. So these are some of the standards which have already been approved or in the pipeline specific to the digital agriculture. And I'll be very, very happy to discuss what that means to all of us as well as to me. But one more thing, if I can add, I was just talking with Sebastian a few minutes ago. We had a similar but different standardization-related conversation in 2024 here in this venue at the margin of IMC. And some of the audience came back and asked, but what does it mean to me? You know, because we don't have connectivity, we don't have capacity, so what can I do with the standard that you're talking about? So I have actually some updates. I have an answer to that question in case this audience is interested on how concretely we are applying the standards for the benefit of policymakers and farmers. But I will wait for your next question.
Thank you so much. That was a great summary. So in my understanding, so what ITU is providing is a framework that leads to standardization for interoperability and democratization with the regulatory potential, basically, and it's also providing the means and the methods to democratically converge with different stakeholders towards these standards. So I guess it would be great to hear the opinion, also a standards lens, from Dr. Shaliganti, who is rapporteur of the newly established question on digital agriculture at the ITU in Study Group 20, I believe. So I will just hand over the microphone, and I'm very much looking forward to hear your perspective.
Thank you, Sebastian. So very good morning. Before I go to the standards, but I would like to highlight the previous session. We're talking, some of the panelists clearly mentioned that We don't need innovations more, but we need more about scale. How do we scale these innovations and how to bring to the grassroots level? That is the major challenge. So I was just looking at some literature and Googling, then I realized that more than 1,000 governmental-led agriculture portals that exist in the global level. If we come to very specific to India, we have 75 portals already exist, and a recent Press Bureau of India released that 2018 startups very specific to agri-tech was registered in India. So the question is that the startups or portals or the platforms, whatever, how interact each other, and what kind of interoperability standards they have, whether they're duplicating the same thing again and again and again. So that exactly that plays a role, what ITU will be talking about standards to avoid this duplication, to have a more integrated approach and a common approach so that. So, and another major challenge come to the farm level. So we're talking about the small-scale farmers. We have 800 million, and come to India, we have 130 million small-scale farmers, 70 to 80% farmers small-scale, less than 1 hectare. How to reach them, how to bring the innovations and digital technology to their doorsteps. That could be a major challenge. And what is the logic of necessity for the farmers? Farmers, they want less input costs are to reduced and production increased and better price for their produce. These are the major 3 things they want. I guess, I'm sure the technology, they might be not think about that, but these are the logic of necessity and the farmers think about that. So what we promising that AI could deliver and to minimize the input cost and maximize the productivity. This could be the most of the slogan, what we're talking in the global level. So, and that exactly the focus group, I don't like to go more deep. You already mentioned about the focus group, aiming to address these small-scale challenges and as well as the sustainable development goals. So being a working group chairperson, use case and solutions at the focus group level, and I got an opportunity to assess more than 60 plus use cases at the global level. And these use cases, I believe, most of them in a prototype, there are very good results, but if you come to the practicality, still not reach the farm level. So that motivates us to develop a project together for HHI and submit, funded by the Federal Minister of Food and Agriculture from Germany, together with Agriculture University in Telangana and Telangana government and Hagab Incubation Center. There are n number of startups are coming and dying, but how to we integrate them? So we made a very good experiment in the local level, bringing all the startups together and also to have a interoperable platform so they can communicate, they deliver the solutions in a more integrated manner. I don't need to somebody pest app, I need a weather app, I need 1,000 apps. Farmers have no time. They have other things to do. So better, more integrated approach so they get better advisories to the local level. So we did very successfully, and we are very proudly say that more than 30% of the pesticide use is reduced. Pesticide use, chemical use was reduced. So this was, sorry? No, it's okay. Okay. So this one, exactly because while we integrating all the startups and knowledge, sorry, I will take less. Okay. Okay. So bringing the solution to the more farm level. So my question, my understanding is that how we integrate our interoperable things. And we have another project with JZ together in Telangana. We're doing the soil mapping. So what we promised in Telangana, doing a digital platform, much more interoperable. So we also integrated the data from the GIZ, other soil mapping in that platform together with the Telangana digital public infrastructure rather than duplicating things. So my opinion, very important to that 3 aspects were interoperability and governance. So how we can govern, there are 117 ICAR institutions there in India and more than 700 KVKs and 17 agriculture universities. Apart from that, there are public departments in agriculture, line departments we called agro, whatever, animal husbandry, fisheries, all together, just going to finish this and learn. So their use potential, their use data is lying in the silos. How we can better use the silos to bring them together to have a interoperable platform, so the betterment of the agriculture decision support system. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Dr. Shaliganti for this insight. I believe that two of the startups that are incorporated in the that you mentioned are here, Carbon Mint and Delta Things. So thank you guys for being here as well. Before we switch gears and take the research perspective into account, I would like to, since you mentioned the German funding already, I would like to briefly turn our perspective on the government policy and the international cooperation. And we have Mr. Klima here from the German embassy in New Delhi. So maybe you could just share your perspective on standardization, on digital agriculture, and the related aspects that we are discussing here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also on behalf of the German government, a warm welcome and thank you for having me here on the panel. Actually, I would like to start with also the slogan of the AI Summit, People, Planet, Progress. So when we talk about people, planet and progress, we definitely have to talk about agriculture, and now also talking about AI. We have to talk about AI in agriculture. That means also that we from the government side, we have to place agriculture back on the agenda, highly on the political agenda, because agriculture is done by the farmers up to our understanding right now. And there will be farmers also in the futures, but how will these farmers look like? Because I think also in this room there are almost none farmers. Or who's a farmer? Okay. So at least there are some farmers, but the majority still most likely comes from another institution. It's got a different educational background, but not farming. So many new actors appear when we talk about AI in agriculture. And as it was mentioned from one of my speakers before on the previous panel, we have to think about a paradigm shift. So how does agriculture look into the future? And that's why government has to support this transformation of the food and agriculture systems, and definitely has to put the real farmers who own the land, who work the land, small scale, medium farmers, back in the center and also on the political agenda, because outside this room there are plenty of other sessions about automotives, about urbanization, energy, whatsoever. But when we talk about governments, we talk about budgets, budget cuts. We talk about public funding, private funding. We talk about farmers' engagement. And here I would like to dive also a little bit deeper. When it comes to AI, we are well aware that AI is new. It's an innovation, but also farmers has been dealt with innovation since centuries. It's nothing new. So many farmers, they are already quite ahead of what we are talking about here right now. And I think the government has to base its support to the farmers, but also to the science and research institutes, to the business companies, with the perspective of the farmers, but also taking into account income for the farmer, food security for society. So there are also two different layers we have to take onto our balance sheet. And also, when it comes to the recommendations, I would definitely say AI is new. Government must be involved. Government must push. And let's say, just talking from the experience in Germany, we support about 14 experiment fields in Germany with different AI technologies. We, after doing research, we have to scale it up. So we support 36 projects for scaling up AI in the food and agriculture sector, but then research is nothing for itself, so it must also serve a purpose, and the purpose is also business driven. So if you want to have a kind of sustainability and definitely an inclusion of farmers. You must make a business case out of it, ask farmers to do their startups, ask universities, research institutes to start a business and think differently and definitely, as it was mentioned before, outside the box. So it must be farmer-centered, I already mentioned, and interoperability is very, very important because you are getting data and you are developing data from different sources, and it all must be, that brings me also to ITU, standardization. So if you collect your data, you must standardize the data. But of course, internationally, but also nationally. When I look at Germany, well, it's sometimes also quite challenging to get the data, to compare data, and definitely when it comes to climate change, different areas. And it was also mentioned in the panel before, and I really, really like the word unpredictability. Agriculture remains unpredictable, and I would like to close my session with a slogan of a very famous tire brand, but I want to change it. Power is nothing without control. But actually, I would rephrase it and say AI is nothing without farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klima. You mentioned research already, so I think this is a good place now to switch over to our panelist covering with a research background. So I would like to start with you, Dr. Zahu from ICIR, to take the lens of agricultural science and farmer-centric deployment and building maybe also on the previous panel contributions. So for which core agricultural sectors can we already set credible and predictable targets maybe for AI-based technology? And what institutional changes are needed to close the gap among different technologies?
Thank you, Dr. Sebastian, and thanks to the organizer giving this opportunity to be here in collaboration with German government, HHI, and ICIR. Before I start, I would like to tell to ma'am, we had an international ITU conference over here in the ICIR campus itself with more than 30 countries' participation in March 2024. And we had a detailed discussion about the data interoperability and standards. And Dr. Sebastian and many of them were here who are more of here in the panelist. Coming back to the initiatives and challenges, what Sebastian was asking is, what are the AI targeted disciplines or the stories which can be low-hanging right now with the success stories? A look at the agriculture. In ICIR has taken two big initiatives, one on the smart agriculture, looking at the crop health, looking at the soil health, looking at the post-harvest, livestock, and also aquaculture. Having almost 113 research institutes, 70 universities, and 731 KVKH. So if you look at some of those sectors which can be targeted immediately, a success story is with respect to the crop health and the soil health. A lot of databases available, irrespective of the institutes, the organizations what we have. We have Indian Space Research Organizations. We have a directly monitoring system for the crops, crop classification, acreage, yield estimations for 13 plus crops. Looking at the soil, we have a national level program on the soil health code. And also we are looking at taking care of some of those technologies, AI and sensor technologies for digital soil mapping. Many states already we have been doing. Looking at weather forecasting, we are, to some extent we are success. And again, that has reached into a maturity level with respect to the forecasting with medium and short range weather forecasting. And also based on the advisories, which has been again put on the big network program through the universities and also ICIR research institutes. But challenge remains is with respect to the infrastructure, data infrastructure and computational facility. If you look at the soil, crop, and weather, they are very complex interactions they have. That's where we look at the AI and the integration of them. And the challenge again remains is the drifting and the diversity of what we have. So it's not the same generic model we can create for whatever you do for the soil or crop health. We need to do per a site specific and making it successful and operational. And that's the reason why data standard is very, very much important. Looking at some of the gray areas where yet to roll out to the field level using AI is, like previous session we have been talking, is on the precision livestock. We have not penetrated much because of the marginal holders. You go back to the countryside, we don't have that kind of holding what you have in Europe or advanced countries with respect to livestock populations and monitoring them to bring the precision. But we have some technologies already taken up, some initiative we have taken with the different research institutes. Same also looking at the aquaculture, mapping, digitizing those aquatic ponds, their environment, looking at low-cost IoT sensors for the health of the aquatic environment and also the fish and both in marine and riverine. It has been a challenge, but there are many initiatives, success stories what we have. Looking at the putting them together, the technological, commercial, and institutional level framework, how we can take up is, already the government of India has taken some initiative on the DPI, Digital Public Infrastructure. That's a big initiative what has been taken up, and many organizations have joined hand to make it interoperable data infrastructure which can be used pan-India. That's what the standardized structure and the different layers is going to be created, looking at the weather, looking at the soil, looking at the crop. And also digital data of each farmer is going to be available with respect to his socio-economic conditions, also his record and the kind of crop he is growing to. Again, challenge remains is the policy governance, where the data interoperability, already those concerns has been shared. I don't want to repeat the same thing over here. Standardizing them is very, very important. And second part remains is encouraging the startups, working together with the public-private partnership umbrella so that we can make whatever the research we do in the four-world labs, it goes to the field and making it operable and make a business model. And again, the last mile is the farmer. We should look at the participatory approach, how best we can put them together, integrate them together, taking into confidence the farmer into picture and all around. And there are some initiatives what has been taken, Government of India, looking at the Drone Didi program. That's one of the great initiative of Government of India, vision of Honorable Prime Minister, is how to empower the farmer, that to lady farmer. So these are some of those initiatives, examples, which has been, we have been trying, but yet a lot to go before we sleep. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for these insights. I have to admit that also I announced to be very strict on the time. I failed on that. So I would like to ask the next speakers to be very brief, because that would give us the opportunity to get the audience in as well. I'm very sorry about that. That's on me. Nevertheless, so I'm very happy to have you here, Dr. Chaudhary from IIT. So from the lens of AI innovation and trusted development, so what is your perspective here on when it comes to digital agriculture and the regulatory frameworks? Yes. So.
Okay, thank you. Let me thank the organizers to making me part of this initiative. So what I wanted to talk about is slightly different from agricultural innovation. But looking into the ecosystem of the country today, there are a large number of startups in the agri space. There are initiatives from the government to have interventions in the agriculture space driven by AI. And ICR also is having a number of projects in that area. But what is missing in the overall scheme of things, which is also an academic challenge, is the governance structure. And I think that is something which is extremely important to address today. Because whatever AI we bring in, we need to bring that in with appropriate accountability mechanisms. Because if AI is driving the public decision making regarding agriculture and agricultural advice, who will be accountable regarding the quality of the advice? And this is fundamentally important because it impacts livelihoods. It therefore must be clearly monitored, should be traceable, and should be challengeable. And this contestable advice is something very, very critical, because that only can guarantee the advice which is being provided for is provided for the purpose it is intended and not for other kind of business interests or other interventions which are not ethical. Because these points, in many cases, when you look at agriculture, is not really addressed. The other very important point is that if we really have AI today is coming in terms of models. Now, therefore, there has to be a process of registration of models. Models cannot be applied and used irrespective of the registration, and registration should have a process and protocol defined. Because without that protocol, if I say that I ensure 99% accuracy, 99% accuracy doesn't mean anything. This is with respect to the data you have collected and how general is the performance across multiple stakeholders, multiple scenarios. And particularly in the Indian context, if you look at, the farming lands are fragmented. The soil property is also dependent on the history with which the land has been used. So therefore, if we actually make an AI predictions on the base of land, that may suffer the problem of drift from one plot to another plot. And therefore, this drift invariance or the drift as a problem being addressed in the AI model is something fundamentally important in the country. Because there is a random variation of weather that we are seeing because of the weather changes, global warming, and the impact on the basis of the data that we have obtained in season 1 may not remain valid in season 2. And therefore, how do you adapt that? And that's an open problem, because without that governance or measure, I think we cannot use AI to the application scenario. The last point what I want to talk about is that there are multiple measures which are today coming in terms of assessing the reliability of AI. It is not just accuracy. We typically talk about in a research what is the accuracy of prediction. But accuracy of prediction is also within a closed world assumption. And if we have to take it outside in a real application level, we need to relax that closed world assumption and bring in other factors and noise to actually perturb the ecosystem, the data, possibly to see how stable the model is. And the models have to be also managed by national commons, because just like we are talking in terms of data commons, in terms of the data which is being in the public space, the models, when they graduate, they should come to the level where it becomes a public property. And once it's a public property, there has to be a protocol of management of commons. I think these are some of the things which are not just administrative, but these have got lots of challenge related to AI technology and adoption and improvement and innovation in the AI space. So I think some of these problems needs to be addressed if we really want to make this AI as something really serving the needs of the nation and people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaudhary. Yeah, for your perspective with the focus on models and models properties. So if you change the perspective and look at the data now, I think then you, Dr. Patra, you are the expert to talk about this. So in how far would you think that digital infrastructure and data architecture is relevant here, and what sort of properties should we assign to the data and demand from the data?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me here. See, there is a difference between people feel the national digital infrastructure means data platform. That's not true. There is a much more than data platform there in the national, when you talk about a digital platform, where we talk about a foundational infrastructure which are interoperable and also secure in that sense. So India has been doing very well in such scenarios, such as we have this Aadhaar and other infrastructures. If you look at the Digi Yatra, Digi Lockers, all those digital infrastructures which are doing very well. Looking at that, when you come to agriculture, agriculture is one of the major boosts or backbone of our economy. So we have to look at applications that are based on the digital infrastructure. So I come from a state of Karnataka, and KSNDMC, the Karnataka State Disaster Management Center, works very closely with us. They provide farmers daily kind of advisories and other things on mobile applications. Based on that, I see that even at the central level, there are lots of efforts which are gone. There is something, a new initiative or mission project on digital agriculture had started in 2024 by the Government of India, by the Ministry of Agriculture, and there they have defined something called AgriStack. AgriStack is the infrastructure which is supposed to provide the digital infrastructure for agri or farm-related studies. The problem that we see in the current AgriStack is that it has two layers. One layer is the registry layer, which provides the authentication and registration of farmers, then registration of land records, what kind of crops these lands they do produce, or what kind of facilities like irrigation machineries or the sensors that these farmers do. That is being collected as a part of the registry, which is done at the state level. At the central level, they look at how to, basically the transaction level, where they actually talk about how to disseminate these information for various purposes. The purposes could be anything like the PM Kisan schemes, or giving credits, Kisan credit cards, or procurement of minimum sales price. All those things are derived out of that. Also the soil card and other things are done as part of that. But the thing what is missing basically is a middle layer, which is supposed to be the intelligence layer, which needs to provide more analytics or intelligence out of the data which is provided. And Professor Santanu Chaudhary talked about the AI part of it, how it can be done. But the moment you plug in this AI part, that's where comes the major challenge, because we have the issues related to privacy. We have the issues related to how to take care of the various requirements of the farmers and who should have the facilities. For example, I can provide this data to banks for finding out the kind of credit scores and other things. I can provide the data to insurance companies who can look at the kind of when they give kind of insurance, what should be their various ways to look into the amount of insurance and other things. And also various other things that is being looked at. But then the issue comes whether we have taken the farmer's consent or not. So if we follow the DPDP Act and the methods properly, I think we should be able to have a very good architecture for establishing a digital infrastructure. And the moment we put that, we should have the accountability, because any AI model, we should not be able to just blindly use it. We should look at a kind of a traceability, so that if tomorrow there is a problem, somebody should be able to find out where the mistake has happened. Such systems are not yet available, plugged into while it is already there. For example, UPI payment is there, everything is already done. So it's easy for us to migrate from bring those kind of innovations to the agri sectors and put it. And the certifications. AI models, like somebody said in the morning, innovation doesn't mean progress. I think AI need to get into the governance, not just as an advisory thing. It should actually get into the decision-making process. And that is where the middle layer, which is right now missing in the architecture of the governance, should be actually included. And we need to look at various regulation frameworks about the AI things. That's something which I think still a debatable thing, how to find out rules and regulations to handle the AI things. And also when it comes to agriculture, I think AI models are specific to a region. So we need to even look at for various regions how it works, the agro climate zones and all, how it works. That also is very, very important. And also the periodic recalibration of all these AI models and all, because like he talked about the drift. Over time, the things change. So we cannot use the same model again and again. So we need to do a recalibration of those models. So this is a typical architecture I feel should be working well for the Indian context, because we have small farmers, not like big farms, small farmers. So these are something that I thought we should have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gopal. So this is interesting to see. This panel was very interesting with other contributions, because this was a very wide and diverse set of perspectives, very complementary, very synergetic. So I found it very exciting. So what I would like to know from the audience is what sort of key takeaways do you get from this session, from this discussion, and what sort of input and opinion do you have on the topic of standards and policy pathways for scaling AI-enabled farmer-centric agri-food systems? Time is running quite a bit, so we have prepared a QR code. So you are very much welcome to provide your input there. We will consider this and we will come up with a report over the next couple of days or weeks that is incorporating your perspective here as well. So please just take a picture of this QR code. It will lead you to a Google form with prepared questions, and then you can provide your input there. And if you put also your email address and affiliation, that's optional, then we can directly update you also about the resulting document that we came up with. So we are very close. 55 minutes is surprisingly challenging. So we are very close to the end now. And given all these wonderful reflections that we heard already, I would like to give the panelists another chance to basically sum up their key takeaways that they got from the session today. And
No, we are running out of time. Please. See, you are a farmer,
no, that's not true. So no, that's not true. We have, and I'm very sorry about this, but we have this limit of 55 minutes. We have to stick to the format, and you are very much so. You can look at all the other sessions, and then you can count how many QR codes you find. You can count how often you will be asked to provide your input. And I assure you that it's less than 10%. So this is all that we can provide. I'm sorry about this, given the framework.
Okay, so you can scan the barcode and provide your inputs, and whatever feedback you will give, we'll incorporate in the recommendations. So please do that before we wrap up.
Thank you so much. So I would just follow now just the linear order here that I find to my left to get the final reflection of the panelists. We have, it's not really clear to me, 5 to 9 minutes left, so please be short about it, and looking forward to what you take away from the inputs of the distinguished colleagues of yours.
Thank you, Sebastian. I just want to follow up to what I was saying and the discussions on policy and research which came up from the panelists. And I also get asked very frequently, so how can I use the standards in my own work? So in response to that, as well as the request from the beneficiaries, we started conducting a series of capacity development. For example, do you know how to find the standards that I was talking about, right? And how can you participate in the standard setting platforms like the working groups and focus groups that I discussed? So we have been conducting a series of regional workshops to build the capacity so that you know what exists and what more you can contribute and use. So I hope that in a very near future, all of you can join our effort to develop more standards and to use the standards for farming as well as business and innovation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will just pass on the mic.
Thank you. So I just keep it short due to time constraints. So what I take away is that bottom line more interoperability and governance are the centerpiece. And if you align with standards and platform and policy, so digital application move from different pilots, schemes, silos to more integrated system approach, and which is more standardized approach. So thank you.
Just quick keywords are reasonable data availability with the standards. And second one is institutional framework, infrastructure, and proven pilots, seeing is believing, and clear commercial pathways with PPP, public-private partnership.
My key takeaway would be capacity building and exchange, especially as AI with the new technologies. It's kind of very new. I'm reading quite a number of papers. So governments, business companies, farmers, research, and science institutions, we all have to learn, and we have to learn together, and that's why also Germany is engaged in India with several projects working in the AI agriculture sector, and I think just together we can then also build for the young people also the new future with AI. Thank you.
See, I shall go back to these, the point which was being maintained in terms of agri-stack, that middle layer. I think that's a key requirement today. And also we need to build up the capability and research-based approach in terms of measurable AI for agriculture. Because the agriculture, if AI has to be used, we need to have confidence in that AI. Reliability and confidence in that AI is actually the key challenge. I think that we need to have built a protocol in parallel to what the core research is happening. Even confidence in the data, that itself is a question which needs to be addressed. I think these are some of the issues. If we don't address them in parallel, whatever initiative is happening in startup space, in research institutions, will not really get translated and adopted by the farmers on field. Thank you.
Yeah, I think to add to his points, authenticated data is essential if you want to really use AI in any space, because unless the data is reliable, there is what you give a garbage, you will get a garbage out, because AI doesn't understand the reality. So that's very important. So just to conclude my statement, I'll say that AI in agriculture is in the Indian context. If you want to scale it, I think AI is the only way of using it. Otherwise, you will not be able to scale the architecture. But it is not only the models which needs to be scaled. I think how it is being incorporated into the governance, that is very important, because models are being developed, improved. Those things are going on. As a researcher, we do that. But then we don't really know when it is put into the governance how it will behave. So that's very important aspect that we need to look into when we really talk about AI in agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this was an excellent session, I find. So it was very interesting. And once again, thank you all for providing your expertise. And from what I take away from here, this is something that is my impression since quite a long time. So there is this famous quote by William Gibson, a science fiction author, that is, the future is already here, it's just not equally distributed. And that seems to be the case when it comes to AI in agriculture as well. So there is quite a lot of solutions out there. It's just that it's very difficult to bring them out, or the challenging part. Maybe it's not really difficult, maybe it's challenging, and we have to figure out the right means to how to bring this to the farmers, to the field in a sustainable and viable way that is supporting the needs of the farmers and also caters to new business models, for example. And from what I can see here from this panel, this was a very nice discussion that was really taking a multi-dimensional 360-degree perspective, where all the different dimensions, like technologically, data and machine learning and the interaction between those two fields, as well as the other dimensions of governance and regulatory aspects. So what are the actual needs to put this into place in the regulatory framework, including properties of machine learning, like data quality, model quality, and the corresponding challenge of accountability when it comes to the data outputs, the data products of these models, and this directly in relation to the governance aspects when it comes to how to store the data, how to assign the data with the corresponding requirements that are set by the farmers. So thank you all. It was great also to better understand what is the solution that ITU is providing, and has quite a successful history in this as well when it comes to providing the regulatory framework on the technological level to these systems. With this, before I close the session, so I would once again encourage you to provide your input here to the session using the QR code. And I regret that we did not have the opportunity to have an open discussion here, but what I can assure you is that I, and I guess some of the panelists as well, will be here around here, and we would really love to get into the discussion after the session, or maybe also over the course of the day or the week. So please feel free to reach out to us. And that having said, thank you for your interest, thank you for being here. And I wish you a lot of insightful sessions for today and the week. And with this, I would like to close the session. Thank you once again.
So on behalf of Indian Council of Agriculture Research and Fraunhofer Institute, I would like to thank you everybody, all the panelists, all the participants, and as I told, all your suggestions we'll try to incorporate into the proceedings. So again, thank you very much, and I'll request all the panelists to be here. They will give some memento. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us and sharing your valuable insights today. On behalf of India AI team, we are providing you a small token of appreciation. Thank you so much.